On a distant planet named Zilara, the Xylons lived. They were a small, clever alien race, with green skin, big eyes, and bodies no taller than a child. They often felt underestimated. Xylons were known for their intelligence. They could solve complex problems and invent amazing gadgets. But despite their brains, many other species in the galaxy laughed at them. They called them weak and fragile. Every day, the Xylons watched as ships from different alien races flew over their planet. These ships were big and powerful, filled with warriors who could crush anything in their path. The Xylons felt small and helpless. They wished they could show everyone that they were not just smart but also brave. They had a dream of standing strong against those who mocked them. One sunny morning, Xylon leader Elder Varro called for a meeting. Xylons gathered in a large dome made of crystal that sparkled in the light. Elder Varro stood in front of them, his voice steady but filled with worry. "We cannot let others see us as weak any longer," he said. "The Karkans are coming, and they will not stop until they take our home. We need to find a way to fight back." The crowd murmured. Many Xylons nodded in agreement, but some were scared. "What can we do? We are small," one young Xylon named Tira asked, her voice trembling. Elder Varro raised his hand to quiet the crowd. "We must seek help. There is a race known as humans. They are different from us, but they have strength. They might be the allies we need." Some Xylons gasped. They had heard stories about humans, how they were loud and wild, often causing chaos. Could they really trust them? But Elder Varro's words sparked hope in their hearts. As they talked, Tira looked around at her fellow Xylons. She thought of her people's struggles and the way they were always pushed aside. The Karkans would not respect them unless they showed strength. "We have to try," she said loudly. "We can't let others decide our fate for us." The other Xylons began to cheer. They agreed that asking for help was a brave step. After hours of discussion, they decided to send a message to the humans. The Xylons worked together to create a signal strong enough to reach Earth, their home planet. Days passed as they prepared for the humans' arrival. The Xylons built a landing pad with bright lights to guide the humans to their planet. They cleaned their homes and made everything ready. Tira helped gather food and supplies to welcome their new allies. But inside her, there was still fear. What if the humans did not like them? What if they laughed at them too? Finally, the day came. The sky turned dark, and the Xylons looked up. A bright light appeared, growing larger as it got closer. The human ship landed with a loud thud, sending dust into the air. Tira's heart raced. As the ship doors opened, a group of humans stepped out. They were tall and wore strange uniforms. Their faces looked serious, but there was also a hint of curiosity. Tira felt both excitement and nervousness. She stepped forward to greet them. "Welcome to Zilara," she called out, her voice clear despite her shaking hands. The humans looked at her, their expressions unsure. One of them stepped forward, a woman with short hair and a confident smile. "Hello, we're here to help," she said. Her voice was warm, and Tira felt a little better. But just then, a loud roar echoed from the distance. The Xylons froze. It was a Karkan ship, hovering above them. Fear gripped Tira as she realized their time was short. They had called for help, but would it be enough? The humans and Xylons exchanged worried glances. The Xylons had hoped for strength, but now they felt their fear growing. Would they be able to stand together against the Karkans, or would they be laughed at again? Tira took a deep breath. This was their chance to prove they were more than just smart. They had to unite with the humans, for their survival depended on it. The battle ahead would determine their fate, but together, they could show the galaxy their true strength. The call for help. The Xylons gathered once more in the Crystal Dome, their hearts filled with worry. The roar of the Karkan ship had faded, but the fear it brought still lingered. Elder Varro stood at the front, looking grave. The time had come for a bold decision. "We have seen the strength of our enemy," he began, his voice steady yet urgent. "The Karkans are powerful and ruthless. They will not stop until they take Solara from us. We cannot fight them alone." Murmurs of agreement swept through the crowd. Xylans nodded, their small faces filled with determination. Terra felt a spark of hope mixed with fear. They had decided to seek help from the humans, but could they really rely on them? Elder Vero continued, "We must send a clear message to the humans. We need their help, not just to protect our planet, but to stand strong together. Alone, we are weak, but together, we can become strong." As Elder Vero spoke, Terra's mind raced. She remembered the stories of humans, their bravery, their courage, but also their unpredictability. Would they really come to their aid? She felt a mix of excitement and dread. The Xylons quickly agreed on their plan. They needed to send a message that was loud and clear, one that would reach the humans across the stars. They decided to create a signal that would be visible from space, using the brightest colors they could find. As they worked together, Terra felt the energy in the air. Everyone was focused, determined to make the signal work. They used glowing crystals, vibrant colors, and even their advanced technology. After hours of hard work, the Xylons finally completed their signal. It was a magnificent sight, bright and colorful, shining like a beacon against the dark sky. That night, Terra stood on a hill, watching the signal light up the sky. She felt a wave of pride. They were taking action, and they were doing it together. But as she gazed into the stars, a sense of fear crept back. Would the humans see their message? Would they even care? Days passed, and the Xylons continued to prepare for the worst. They fortified their homes, trained in combat, and gathered supplies. Elder Vero reminded them to stay strong and hopeful. "The humans will see our call for help," he said. "We must believe in ourselves and in them." Finally, one morning, as Terra was gathering food, a loud noise filled the air. She looked up to see a human ship approaching, its engines roaring. Excitement rushed through her, but so did anxiety. Would this ship bring help, or would it bring more trouble? The ship landed smoothly on the landing pad, sending a cloud of dust into the air. Terra rushed to the landing site, her heart pounding. The humans emerged, and among them was the woman who had first greeted her. "Hello again," the human woman smiled. "I'm Captain Jane. We saw your signal, and we came as fast as we could." The Xylons cheered, relief washing over them. Elder Vero stepped forward, his voice full of gratitude. "Thank you for coming. We are in great danger. The Karkans are near, and we need your strength to protect our home." Captain Jane nodded, her expression serious. "We understand. We are here to help, but we need to know more about the Karkans. What are their strengths? What should we expect?" Tyra listened carefully as Elder Vero explained everything he knew about the Karkans. They were large and powerful, with thick skin and sharp claws. They had advanced technology and worked as a team. The Xylons had seen them destroy planets, and the thought of facing them filled Terra with dread. After the meeting, Captain Jane gathered her team. They were ready to learn and prepare for the battle ahead. Terra watched them with hope. Maybe, just maybe, the humans could bring the strength they needed. As the sun set on Solara, the two races began to work together. Terra felt the fear in her heart slowly fade away. With the humans by their side, they could finally fight back. Together, they could prove that they were not weak, and they would not be laughed at again. The battle was coming, but now they had allies. Now they had a chance. Terra looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of unity. With the humans, they would stand strong against the Karkans and protect their home. The arrival of humans. The day had finally arrived. Terra stood on the hill, her heart racing with anticipation. The sun was shining brightly over Solara, but her mind was filled with thoughts of the humans. Would they be everything the Xylons hoped for? Would they help them fight the Karkans? As she gazed at the sky, she spotted a small dot growing larger. It was the human ship. Tyra felt a mixture of excitement and fear. She quickly rushed to the landing pad, where other Xylons were already gathering. Elder Vero stood at the front, ready to welcome their new allies. The ship descended slowly, its engines roaring loudly. It landed with a gentle thud, sending a small cloud of dust into the air. The Xylons watched in awe as the ship's door opened. A ramp extended, and the humans began to emerge. The first to step out was Captain Jane, the same woman who had greeted them before. She looked confident in her dark uniform, her eyes scanning the crowd of Xylons. Behind her, a team of humans followed, each one different in size and appearance. Some were tall, others shorter, but all had determined looks on their faces. Tyra felt a flutter of hope. These humans were not just warriors, they were here to help her people. As Captain Jane approached, she smiled warmly. "Hello again. We're excited to be here and ready to work with you." Elder Vero stepped forward, his expression serious but hopeful. "Welcome to Zilara. We are grateful for your presence. Together, we can prepare for the Karkan threat." The humans nodded, and Captain Jane introduced her team. "This is Sergeant Mark, our tech specialist," she said, pointing to a tall man with short hair. "And this is Dr. Mia, our medic. We also have soldiers who are skilled in combat. We are here to learn about the Karkans and how we can fight them together." Tyra listened closely, trying to remember each name. She felt inspired by their confidence. She had seen humans in stories, but meeting them in person was different. They were real, and they were ready to help. The Xylons led the humans to their crystal dome, where they discussed strategies and plans. Inside, the atmosphere was filled with a mix of curiosity and nervousness. The Xylons shared everything they knew about the Karkans, their strengths, their numbers, and their cruel tactics. As the meeting continued, Tyra watched the humans closely. They listened intently, taking notes and asking questions. She noticed how Captain Jane and her team respected the Xylons' knowledge. They didn't laugh or mock. They treated the Xylons as equals. After the meeting, the humans and Xylons split into groups to prepare. Tyra was paired with Dr. Mia, who had a kind smile and a calming presence. "Let's check your medical supplies," she said, leading Tyra to their storage area. Tyra felt excited to show her new friend their advanced technology. As they walked, Tyra asked, "What do humans do to prepare for battle?" Dr. Mia replied, "We train and plan. We also need to stay healthy. It's important to take care of our bodies." Tyra listened closely, amazed at how much the humans seemed to know. Meanwhile, Captain Jane worked with Elder Vero and Sergeant Mark to create a plan for the upcoming fight. They discussed the Xylons' tactics and how to combine their strengths with human technology. Tyra felt a sense of pride as she watched her people being taken seriously. As the day went on, both races trained together. The humans taught the Xylons some basic combat techniques, while the Xylons showed the humans how to think strategically. They practiced forming lines and using their environment to their advantage. Tyra participated eagerly, learning from the humans while teaching them about her own people's unique skills. She realized that, although they were different, they could learn so much from each other. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple, Tyra and her fellow Xylons stood side by side with the humans. They felt a growing bond, a sense of unity that had never existed before. Tyra smiled as she glanced at Captain Jane, who returned her smile with warmth. That night, as they gathered around a fire, the Xylons and humans shared stories. They laughed and learned about each other's cultures. Tyra felt happiness swell in her heart. The humans were not just allies. They were becoming friends. The Karkan threat still loomed over them, but for the first time, Tyra felt hopeful. With the humans by their side, they would not only face the challenge, but also show the galaxy that together, they could be strong. Building trust, the sun rose over Zilara, casting a warm glow across the planet. Tyra awoke with excitement buzzing in her chest. Today was the day they would truly begin to work together. The humans and Xylans needed to build trust if they were going to face the Karkans. After breakfast, Captain Jane gathered everyone for a morning meeting. She stood tall, her eyes scanning the group of Xylans and humans. Today, we will train together. It's important that we learn how to work as a team. Trust is the key to our success. Elder Varro nodded, his expression serious. We must not only share our skills but also understand each other. This is our chance to grow strong together. Tyra felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She was eager to show the humans what the Xylans could do. As they split into small groups, Tyra teamed up with Dr. Mia. She had enjoyed working with the medic before and felt comfortable with her. Let's start with something simple, Dr. Mia suggested. We can practice some basic combat moves together. Tyra nodded and showed Dr. Mia how Xylans used their speed and agility. They practiced dodging and weaving, and Tyra demonstrated how to use their small size to their advantage. Dr. Mia was impressed. "You're really fast," she exclaimed. "I wish I could move like that." "Thank you, but we have to be smart too," Tyra replied, her confidence growing. "We can outthink our enemies." As they trained, Tyra noticed that the humans were equally impressed with her people's quick thinking. They listened carefully and tried to adapt their own techniques. Dr. Mia even took notes on how the Xylans moved, showing that she respected their skills. Meanwhile, Captain Jane and Elder Varro worked on battle strategies. They discussed the Xylans' knowledge of the terrain and how it could be used to their advantage against the Karkans. Captain Jane listened closely, taking in every detail. "Your understanding of the land is crucial. We can use that to create traps and ambushes," she said. The trust between the Xylans and humans began to grow as they shared ideas and strategies. They realized that their different skills could complement each other. Tyra watched as the humans took notes on Xylan technology, showing genuine interest in their inventions. As the day progressed, they moved on to more complex exercises. The humans taught the Xylans how to work with weapons and technology. At first, Tyra felt nervous holding the human weapon, but with Dr. Mia's encouragement, she soon found her confidence. They practiced together, and Tyra was amazed at how powerful the weapons were. "See, you're getting the hang of it," Dr. Mia cheered. Tyra beamed with pride. She felt a sense of camaraderie growing between them. During lunch, they all gathered to share stories. Tyra sat with Dr. Mia, Captain Jane, and a few other humans. They laughed and exchanged tales about their worlds. The humans talked about Earth, sharing stories of its beautiful landscapes and strange animals. Tyra listened intently, fascinated by their experiences. As they ate, Tyra shared a story about her planet's legends. "In our culture, we believe in the spirit of the land. It protects us and guides us. We honor it with our actions," she explained. The humans listened, their eyes wide with interest. "I love that idea," Captain Jane said. "It's important to have something to believe in. It brings people together." As the sun began to set, they moved on to their final training exercise of the day. Captain Jane suggested a friendly competition. "Let's see how well we can work as a team. We will split into mixed groups, Xylans and humans, and complete a series of challenges." The challenges tested their communication, speed, and problem-solving skills. Tyra teamed up with Sergeant Mark, and they faced off against another group. As they raced through the obstacles, Tyra and Mark quickly learned to work together. Tyra used her agility to navigate tight spaces, while Mark used his strength to lift heavy objects. They laughed and cheered each other on, building a bond of trust through their teamwork. In the end, they did not care who won. They were all proud of how far they had come together. As night fell, they gathered around a fire again, feeling closer than ever. Tyra smiled as she looked at her new friends, the humans. They were no longer just allies. They were becoming family. With trust growing stronger, Tyra felt a renewed sense of hope. Together, they would stand against the Karkans. No one would laugh at them again. They had found strength in unity. and that was their greatest power. The unexpected attack. The sun rose over Zilara, casting a golden light across the landscape. Tira felt a mix of excitement and anxiety as she prepared for another day of training with the humans. They had been working together for days now, growing stronger and more united. But in the back of her mind, the threat of the Karkans loomed. That morning, Captain Jane gathered everyone for a briefing. She stood confidently in front of the mixed group of Xylans and humans. "Today, we will review our plans and finalize our strategies for the upcoming battle," she announced, her voice steady. Elder Vero nodded in agreement. "We must be ready. The Karkans are powerful, but together, we can outsmart them." As they discussed their plans, a sudden rumble shook the ground beneath their feet. Tira felt her heart race. She exchanged worried glances with her friends. The ground trembled again, stronger this time. "What was that?" Tira asked, her voice trembling. Before anyone could answer, a loud roar echoed through the sky. Tira looked up, her eyes wide with fear. Dark shadows filled the sky, and her heart sank. "It's the Karkans," she shouted. Chaos erupted as the Xylans and humans scrambled for safety. The Karkan ships descended rapidly, their massive forms casting ominous shadows over the land. Tira felt panic grip her as she remembered the stories of their brutal attacks. "Everyone, to your positions," Captain Jane yelled, her voice cutting through the panic. "We need to defend the landing pad." The Xylans and humans quickly regrouped, running toward their designated areas. Tira's heart pounded as she picked up a weapon. She felt a rush of fear and adrenaline, knowing that this was the moment they had been preparing for. As the Karkan ships landed, their doors opened and fierce warriors emerged. They were large and intimidating, with thick skin and sharp claws. Tira's breath caught in her throat. The Karkans roared, their voices booming like thunder. "Stay together," Elder Vero shouted, his voice strong despite the chaos. "We must fight as one." The Xylans and humans formed a line, standing side by side. Tira could see the determination in her friend's eyes. This was it. They had to prove themselves, not just to the Karkans, but to each other. The Karkans charged forward, their massive bodies moving with surprising speed. Tira's training kicked in as she dodged and weaved, using her agility to avoid the powerful blows from their enemies. She aimed her weapon carefully and fired, watching as the energy blast hit a Karkan in the shoulder. "Nice shot, Tira," shouted Mark, who fought nearby. He used his strength to push back another Karkan, demonstrating the power of teamwork. The battle raged on, filled with chaos and noise. Tira felt fear, but she also felt something else: courage. The humans fought fiercely, their weapons lighting up the dark sky. The Xylans moved quickly, using their small size to evade attacks and strike back at the Karkans. In the midst of the fighting, Tira saw Dr. Mia tending to a wounded Xylan. "Stay strong. You can do this," Dr. Mia shouted, encouraging her patient. Tira felt a surge of pride at how everyone was working together. Suddenly, a loud roar caught her attention. A massive Karkan charged toward her, its claws ready to strike. Tira's heart raced, and for a moment, she froze. But then she remembered her training and the support of her friends. She took a deep breath and moved to the side just in time. The Karkan missed her, crashing into the ground with a loud thud. "Now, Tira," shouted Captain Jane, who was nearby. "Take your shot." With renewed determination, Tira aimed her weapon and fired again. The blast hit the Karkan squarely, and it fell to the ground, defeated. Tira felt a wave of relief wash over her. She was doing it. She was fighting back. As the battle continued, Tira noticed the Karkans starting to retreat. The combined efforts of the Xylans and humans were overwhelming. They had surprised the Karkans with their unity and strategy. "Push forward," Captain Jane yelled, rallying her team. "We can drive them away." The Xylans and humans surged forward together, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. They fought side by side, each one determined to protect their home. As they pressed on, Tara felt a sense of strength and belonging. When the last Karkin fled, the battlefield fell silent. The Xylans and humans stood together, breathing heavily and covered in dust. They had fought bravely and had won the day. Tara looked around, feeling a mix of exhaustion and triumph. They had faced the unexpected attack and emerged stronger. They had proven to themselves and to the galaxy that they were not weak. Together, they were powerful. United we stand. The battlefield lay quiet after the fierce fight against the Karkins. Tara looked around, taking in the sight of her friends and allies. They were covered in dirt and sweat, but there were smiles on many faces. The humans and Xylons had stood together, and they had won. As the dust settled, Captain Jane called for everyone to gather. Tara felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. They had faced their fears and had emerged victorious. They had fought as one, and it felt good. Listen up, everyone. Captain Jane's voice rang out, strong and clear. Today, we showed the Karkins that we are not to be underestimated. Together, we fought bravely, and together, we won. This is just the beginning. The Xylons cheered, their voices echoing in the air. Tara joined in, feeling the excitement. They had done something incredible. They had come together as a united force. Elder Vero stepped forward, his expression serious but proud. We faced a great danger today. The Karkins may return, but we now know that we can stand against them. With the strength of our new allies, we can protect our home. Tara looked at her friends, the humans who stood beside her. They had worked hard to build trust and friendship. She felt a deep bond with them. They were not just allies. They were family now. After the meeting, the Xylans and humans began to clean up the battlefield. Tara worked alongside Dr. Mia, who was busy tending to the wounded. You did great out there, Tara, Dr. Mia said with a smile. I knew you had it in you. Thanks. I felt scared at first, but then I remembered our training. Tara replied, her heart swelling with happiness. We really worked well together. Yes, we did. Dr. Mia agreed, wrapping a bandage around a wounded Xylon. We showed everyone what we could accomplish when we joined forces. As they cleaned, Tara spotted Mark and Captain Jane nearby. They were discussing their next steps, looking at maps and planning. She wanted to join them, to learn more about what they would do next. Can I help? Tara asked, stepping closer. Of course, Captain Jane replied, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. We need fresh ideas. With your knowledge of the land, you can help us create a better strategy for the next time the Karkins attack. Tara felt her heart race. She was being included in important discussions. I think we should use the terrain to our advantage, she said. We can set up traps and use the forests to hide. That's a great idea, Mark exclaimed. We can use your speed to draw the Karkins into our traps. As they brainstormed, Tara felt more confident. They were working together, blending their strengths to create a solid plan. For the first time, she truly felt like an equal among them. As the sun began to set, casting an orange glow over Zilora, they finalized their plans. Tara looked around at her friends and allies, feeling a deep sense of unity. They had faced a common enemy and had fought side by side. The bond between the Xylans and humans had grown stronger. Later that night, as they gathered around a fire, the mood was celebratory. They shared stories of their lives, laughter filling the air. Tara felt a warmth in her heart. This was what it meant to be united. Captain Jane raised her cup. To friendship, she said, her voice ringing with joy. To the Xylans for their bravery, and to the humans for their strength. Together, we will protect this planet. To friendship, everyone cheered, raising their cups high. Tara looked at her friends, her heart full of hope. They had fought for their home, and they would continue to fight together. No one could laugh at them again. They were strong, united by trust and friendship. As the fire crackled, Tara knew that they would face whatever came next as one. The Karkins would not stand a chance against the bond they had built. United, They were powerful. United, they could change the fate of Zilara. That night, Tara fell asleep with a smile on her face, dreaming of a future filled with hope and strength. Together, they had found a way to stand tall against the darkness. Together, they were unstoppable. A new beginning. The sun rose over Zilara, painting the sky with vibrant hues of pink and gold. Tara woke up with a sense of excitement in her heart. Today was not just another day, it was the start of a new chapter. After their victory against the Karkans, she could feel that everything was changing for the better. Tara quickly dressed and headed outside. The air was fresh, and the sounds of birds filled the atmosphere. She smiled as she saw humans and Xylons working together, preparing for the next steps in their fight. They were cleaning up the battlefield and fortifying their defenses. It felt good to see everyone united. As Tara joined the group, she spotted Captain Jane and Elder Vero discussing plans for building a stronger base. "We need to secure the perimeter and set up more traps," Captain Jane said, her voice firm. "The Karkans will be back, and we have to be ready." Elder Vero nodded. "We must also train our people. They need to be strong and skilled, just like the humans. We can learn from each other." Tyra felt a rush of excitement. "I can help with training," she called out. "I can teach the Xylons how to move quickly and use the terrain to our advantage." "That's a wonderful idea, Tyra," Elder Vero replied, smiling at her enthusiasm. "You have shown great skill in combat. You can be a leader in our training sessions." Tyra's heart swelled with pride. She had always wanted to be strong and help her people, and now she had the chance. "I will do my best," she promised. As the day progressed, Tyra and the others began to prepare for their training sessions. They gathered supplies, set up obstacle courses, and planned drills. Tyra felt energized, knowing that she was playing a vital role in their preparation. The humans were just as eager to learn. Dr. Mia and Sergeant Mark joined Tyra, ready to train both Xylons and humans together. "We will make a great team," Dr. Mia said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Together, we can develop new skills." The training began with Tyra leading the Xylons in speed drills. She demonstrated how to maneuver quickly through obstacles, teaching them to rely on their agility. The Xylons followed her instructions, improving their skills day by day. Meanwhile, Sergeant Mark worked with the humans, teaching them how to move in sync with the Xylons. They practiced communication and teamwork, blending their strengths. Tyra watched in awe as both groups learned from each other, their bond growing stronger. As the weeks passed, the training became more intense. They practiced combat techniques, ambush strategies, and problem-solving exercises. Tyra felt proud to see everyone improving, growing stronger and more confident with each passing day. One afternoon, after a particularly successful training session, Tyra and her friends gathered around the fire for a break. Laughter filled the air as they shared stories of their past battles and victories. "I can't believe how far we've come," Tyra said, glancing around at her friends. "Just a few weeks ago, we were worried about the Karkans, and now we're training to protect our home." Captain Jane nodded, a proud smile on her face. "It's amazing what we can achieve when we work together. We've built something special here, a bond that goes beyond our differences." Elder Vero added, "We have formed a true alliance. This is not just about fighting the Karkans. It's about creating a better future for both our species." Tyra felt a sense of hope wash over her. They were not just preparing for battle. They were building a new life together. This was a new beginning, and she could feel the energy of change all around her. As night fell, the stars twinkled brightly in the sky. Tyra gazed up, feeling grateful for everything they had achieved. They were no longer just Xylons and humans. They were a united force, ready to face any challenge together. In that moment, Tyra knew that their journey was just beginning. They would continue to train, to learn, and to grow. They would stand together against the Karkans and protect their home. But more importantly, they would create a lasting friendship that would echo through the stars. With hope in her heart, Tyra closed her eyes, dreaming of the bright future ahead. She felt proud to be a part of something bigger than herself, a new beginning for Zilara, where unity, strength, and friendship would lead the way. Together, they would write their own story, and it would be one of courage and hope.